Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Olin, and today we're diving into something a little different. We're talking about the great state of Arizona. Beautiful place, right? Grand Canyons, stunning deserts, incredible sunsets. But did you know that underneath all that natural beauty, Arizona is hiding some of the most bizarre, head-scratching, and downright hilarious laws you've ever heard of? I'm serious. When I started looking into this, I couldn't believe what I found. It's like they held a contest for weirdest possible rule and everyone won. We're going to explore some laws that seem to come from another time, another planet, or maybe just a really wild party that got out of hand. From donkeys and bathtubs to rules about cacti that could land you in serious trouble. Arizona's law books are a treasure trove of the unexpected. I mean, some of these sound like they were written on a dare. You might think you know what to expect from a state, but trust me, you have no idea what's coming. So, get ready to have your mind blown, maybe laugh a little, and definitely question the sanity of some old-timey lawmakers. We've got a top 10 list that is going to make you look at the Grand Canyon State in a whole new light. Are you ready for this? Let's get into it, because this is going to be a wild ride. Alright, let's kick things off with a classic. Get this. In Arizona, it is illegal for a donkey to sleep in a bathtub. I know, you're thinking, finally they're cracking down on the real issues. You can't make this stuff up. Apparently this law has its roots in a real event back in 1924. A rancher outside the town of Kingman had a donkey that loved to sleep in his old discarded bathtub. It was his thing, I guess. Everyone has a hobby. Well, one day, a local dam broke and a flash flood came roaring through the valley. The poor donkey, snoozing away in his porcelain paradise, got washed away. Tub and all. The whole town had to come together to rescue this donkey from his floating bathtub. It was such a hassle, such a big community effort that the town council decided, never again. They passed a law making it illegal for a donkey to sleep in a bathtub. So, if your donkey is looking tired, maybe just get him a nice bed. Keep him out of the bathroom. Okay, next up is a law that actually makes a lot of sense when you think about it. In Arizona, it is illegal to refuse a person a glass of water. Now, this isn't about being a bad host at a party. This law is a direct reflection of Arizona's environment. It's a desert state, folks. It gets hot, like really, really hot. We're talking surface of the sun hot sometimes. So this law is basically a public safety measure born out of necessity. Imagine you're stranded, you're hiking, your car breaks down in the middle of nowhere and you're completely out of water. You stumble to the nearest house, desperate, and knock on the door. In Arizona, that person is legally obligated to give you a glass of water if you ask for it. It's considered a fundamental humanitarian gesture that's been written into law. It highlights just how powerful and dangerous the desert can be, and it's a nice reminder that sometimes the law is there to make sure we all look out for each other. Pretty cool, right? This next one feels like it came straight out of a history book because, well, it did. In Arizona, it is illegal to hunt camels. And your first question is probably, there are camels in Arizona? And the answer is, not really anymore, but there used to be. Back in the 1850s, before it was even a state, the US Army had a brilliant, or maybe slightly crazy, idea. They thought, hey, this terrain is a lot like the Middle East, let's import camels to transport supplies. So they created the US Camel Corps. They brought dozens of camels over to use as pack animals in the desert Southwest. The experiment was interesting. The camels were great at their job, but they scared the horses and mules, and the Civil War came along and the whole project was abandoned. The camels were just let loose to roam free in the desert. For a while, there was a wild camel population in Arizona. The law was passed to protect them, and even though you'd be hard-pressed to find a wild camel there today, the law protecting them is still on the books. Alright, let's get specific. We're zooming in on the city of Goodyear, Arizona for this one. If you're ever there, watch where you spit because it's illegal to spit in public places. And they are very, very specific about it. The ordinance says you cannot spit on public sidewalks, crosswalks, or any part of a public highway. You also can't spit on public buildings, parks, or any public property. Basically, if you're outside, just keep it in your mouth. Now, this type of law isn't totally unique. A lot of cities passed anti-spitting laws in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. It was a public health concern, mostly to stop the spread of diseases like tuberculosis. But what's funny is that while many places have let these old laws fade away, Goodyear keeps theirs right there in the city code. It's a reminder of a different time, when something we barely think about today was considered a serious public health hazard. So in Goodyear, be polite and be healthy. No spitting. Okay, this next law is a bit uncomfortable, and it's important to talk about why. There's an old, and I mean old, law on the books in Arizona that makes it illegal to play cards with a Native American in the street. Now let's be crystal clear. This is a relic of a deeply discriminatory and racist past. It's not enforced, it's not something anyone thinks about, but it technically still exists in the state's statutes, which is pretty shocking. This law dates back to a time when there was widespread systemic discrimination against Native American communities. Laws like this were designed to segregate and control people, painting them as untrustworthy or a bad influence. It's a shameful piece of history. While it's good that it's completely ignored today, its existence is a stark reminder of how far we've come, but also how remnants of that ugly past can linger in places you'd least expect, like the state law books. It's a good example of a law that is desperately in need of being officially repealed. Here's a law that makes you go, wait, what? In Arizona, it is illegal to manufacture or possess imitation cocaine. Not the real thing, well, that's illegal too, obviously. But specifically the fake stuff. So if you're in your kitchen mixing up some baking soda and powdered sugar to look like a brick of cocaine, you are breaking a very specific Arizona law. You have to wonder what chain of events led to the creation of this particular rule. Presumably, the law is there to crack down on scams. People would sell this fake stuff to unsuspecting buyers, or maybe use it in other crimes. The lawmakers must have thought, okay, we've outlawed the real drug, but what about the guys ripping off the drug buyers? We've got to get them too. It's a strangely specific piece of legislation. It's not just about drugs, it's about fake drugs. Arizona is covering all its bases. They're not just fighting the war on drugs, they're fighting the war on knockoff placebo effect drugs too. Alright, animal lovers, this one's for you, especially if you love pigs. In some Arizona cities, you are not allowed to let your pig run loose. If you own a pig, you have to keep it penned up or under your control. You can't just open your front door and let Wilbur go for a stroll around the neighborhood by himself. This isn't Charlotte's Web, this is urban Arizona, and there are rules. This applies to other farm animals too, like goats and sheep. This law is all about public order and sanitation. Imagine trying to navigate rush hour traffic and suddenly there's a pig just chilling in the middle of the road. It would be chaos. Plus, let's be honest, farm animals can be messy. This law is basically the city saying, we love that you have a pet pig, that's adorable, but please treat it like a pet, not a wild animal. Keep it in your yard. So if you see a pig on a leash in Phoenix, don't be surprised. Its owner is just being a responsible, law-abiding citizen. This is probably the most famous weird law in Arizona, and it is 100% serious. It is a felony to cut down or harm a saguaro cactus. I'm not kidding. Messing with one of these iconic cacti can land you in prison for up to 25 years. These aren't just plants, they are protected state treasures. Saguaros are incredible. They can live for over 150 years, grow over 40 feet tall, and they are a vital part of the desert ecosystem. Because they grow so slowly, it can take 75 years just for them to grow their first arm. The state takes their preservation very seriously. You can't just dig one up from the desert and put it in your front yard. If you want a saguaro on your property, you have to go through a complicated permit process. If someone illegally damages or poaches a saguaro, investigators will actually be called in. They even have microchips in some of them to track them. So admire the saguaros, take pictures of them, but do not touch them. Seriously. This next law is on the books to prevent a particularly cruel form of entertainment. In Arizona, it is illegal to promote, participate in, or even be a spectator at a horse tripping event. Horse tripping is a so-called sport, most often seen at some rodeos, where riders on horseback chase a loose horse and rope its legs to make it fall, often violently. It's incredibly dangerous and cruel to the animal, causing serious injuries like broken legs, necks, and backs. Thankfully, Arizona and many other states have recognized how barbaric this practice is and have banned it completely. The law makes it a crime not just for the people doing it, but for anyone who organizes the event, or even just buys a ticket to watch. It sends a clear message that animal cruelty for the sake of entertainment will not be tolerated. It's sad that a law like this even needs to exist, but it's great that it does, offering protection to these beautiful animals from a truly awful practice. And finally, we have arrived at the one you've probably been waiting for. This is, without a doubt, one of the strangest laws out there. In Arizona, it is technically illegal to possess more than 2 dildos in one household. Yes, you heard me right. There is a legal limit on the number of dildos a person can own. The number is 2. Not 1, not 3. 2 is the magic number. Any more than that, and you're a criminal. This law is part of a broader, very outdated statute about obscene materials. The idea was likely to prevent the sale and distribution of sex toys by claiming that having a large quantity meant you were a seller, not just a user. Of course, this law is almost never, ever enforced. Can you imagine the police getting a warrant to raid a house based on a tip about a third dildo? It's absurd. It remains on the books as a bizarre, hilarious, and slightly embarrassing piece of Arizona's legal history that everyone just kind of agrees to ignore. And there you have it! 10 of the most surprising, strange, and sometimes downright silly laws from the great state of Arizona. From protecting camels that aren't there anymore to making sure donkeys don't take a bath, Arizona's legal code is a journey, to say the least. It's a fascinating mix of sensible rules born from the desert climate, outdated laws that are remnants of a darker past, and some that are just plain weird. It just goes to show that no matter how well you think you know a place, there are always some quirky secrets hiding in plain sight. I'm sure Arizona isn't the only state with laws like these. Every place has its own weird history and its own bizarre rules, and that's where you come in. If you know of any other strange laws from Arizona or from wherever you're watching, I want to hear about them. Drop a comment down below and let's share the weirdest laws we can find. I'll be reading through all of them because this stuff is just too fascinating. Thank you so much for hanging out and learning about these crazy laws with me today. If you had fun, if you learned something new, or if you're just glad you don't own 3 dildos in Arizona, do me a favor and hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next adventure into the surprising corners of our world. Until next time, stay curious.